Hi, everybody. My name is Jason Vlad, and I'm an instructional designer and master trainer here at TechSmith. And we want to welcome you to today's Learn One New Thing webinar series topic of quick styles and themes. Now, if you're not familiar or you've maybe attended other TechSmith webinars in the past, the Learn One New Thing series came about because as we're doing these longer 1-hour sessions, there's specific tools inside of each part of our tool set, Camtasia, Snagit, and so on and so forth, that people really wished we would be able to spend a little bit more time on. And based on feedback from the survey results that you'll be asked to complete at the end of this webinar, it'll only take 1 minute, it's 4 questions, and that's how we derive things like this from it. We had the opportunity to build out a session just like this. So today, our topic is limited to themes and quick styles. And if we have a little extra time and something else comes up, we'll do our best to answer it. Before we get into that content, let's go through a few housekeeping items. First, today's agenda. So I want to talk about creating and applying themes. It's not very hard to do. It might only take us a couple minutes to talk about it, but it is extremely impactful if you're looking for consistency across your presentations, across the images you create with Snagit. And frankly, it's a lot of fun. We'll talk about how it affects your quick styles, which is on the right-hand panel inside of Snagit. We'll talk about customizing those and maybe adding them to your favorites so you don't have to dig through all your different tools to find them each and every time. The number one question we get asked, however, is this webinar being recorded? Yep, this webinar is being recorded, and you will get a link to it about 24 hours from now after we complete the session to the same email that you received your registration information from. In fact, you'll be directed to our brand new, totally refurbished webinar site. I will probably tease that out a little bit later because we've added a lot of more webinars for the next upcoming weeks and months. Make sure you take that recording link, watch it as many times as you want. If I go too fast, I go too slow, share it with colleagues, whoever you think might find this most valuable, go ahead and share that through. Next up is we do have some TechSmithies joining us today. We have people here in the Q&A section. We've got Carson, excuse me, Melissa and Meredith as part of the TechSmith crew. If you have a question that you want to ask, the best chance of getting that seen and looked at is to put it in the Q&A section at the bottom of the screen. We can't guarantee we can answer all the questions, but we will do our best. And if the question is something that would be helpful for everybody to know, they'll pass it along to me and we'll show it here live. I also have the chat open. I don't know if I have that slide in here. Nope, I don't. The chat is also open, as we've seen that people are letting us know where they're from. And thanks for telling us that you can hear and see us. We really appreciate this. So last but not least, we do have live transcription available. If you would find it helpful to have closed captions on your screen, go ahead and toggle that on at the bottom. And you can have a live transcribed experience through Zoom. It does a pretty good job. So I'm appreciative of them having that skill tool available to us. So let's get started. On your screen, you will now see my Snagit editor. And quick note, if you see my Snagit editor and my face, I typically keep my webcam on. I can turn it off for today, but there is a slider between my webcam and the screen that you can drag to the left or right to get a bigger or smaller view of the screen. For today's session, I will, for right now, turn off my camera so we can get the most out of your screen real estate as well. One other thing I want to bring up is something I'm trying new, and I'd love your feedback on it, is I'm going to use this tool built into Windows to highlight parts of my screen. So if I talk about a menu or talk about a tool, I'll try and remember to use this spotlight so you can draw your eyes to that information. If you find that helpful, throw it in the chat or let us know in the survey at the end. All right, here we go. Let's talk about themes. Now, my pitch about themes is I'm not a designer, not a graphic designer anyway, but themes help me feel like one when I need to stay on brand with colors. And I'm a little bit under pressure because one of those TechSmithies helping us, Meredith, is a designer, an actual designer on the Snagit program here at TechSmith. So she can give me pointers of what I might have missed after today's session. So themes are as follows. When you select a tool inside of Snagit, like for example, if I pick the arrow tool or text tool or callout, whenever you select one of those, I'll select arrows, you get a series of colors that are able to be used for that tool. So if I was going to draw an arrow on my screen right now, I have choices between this red, purple, green, and yellow. And then I have different styles of those below us. Now you have the flexibility to make whatever color you want by using this color wheel down here at the bottom. You can drag along the color spectrum if you happen to know the hex code of the color or even the RGB code. If you know what that is for the color you want, you can enter it in here. But I come to find that it's much easier if I want to stay on brand if I create a theme that builds out a series of colors that I can use. Underneath the theme drop-down menu here at the top, there is a drop-down arrow. Now, if you only have the basic one, which is all I had when you normally install Snagit, you might not see a series of other themes like I have built into mine. But what we're going to talk about today is this option right here, this new theme. In fact, I'm going to click on that right now, which will open this brand new theme creator menu inside of Snagit. This is where it'll be helpful for us to be able to create a theme that we can use across multiple projects. Now, why create a theme? Well, TechSmith has specific colors, right? We have all of our blue styled colors for Snagit. We have our green styled colors for Camtasia, a really great series of purple colors for our Audiate tool. And so whenever I create a series of images or a video inside of Snagit that I want consistency with my callouts, I use a theme so I can keep it on brand. If you work for a beverage company, if you work for a university, if you work for a hospital, if you work for a bank, you most likely have your themes and your colors that you want to use for your project. And I'm going to show you two different ways that you can make a theme right inside of Snagit. First, we want to give the theme a name so that we can identify it when we use that drop-down menu over here in the right-hand corner. So for this, I actually have this generic style guide in front of me. I've got one for a company called Data International. I've got one for a company called Storit, and I got one called Priority with the IT stylized. So this must be like a tech company. Today, we're going to build out the one for Storit. This is a real basic company. So we're going to name our theme Storit just like the company name is. Below the title, we have the ability to add up to 8 unique colors to our theme. And there's 2 different ways to do it. One is by clicking on the arrow beneath the first color, and I can either find the color here in the color wheel by dragging this around and go, well, this is more purple, but can I get that exact purple? If I can't, it's helpful if the company, usually your marketing department, provides you with a hex code, which is this one right here, or an RGB code, which I could then type into the theme creator so that I get the exact color. But I'm going to admit it, I'm super lazy and I don't always want to have to dig for that information. And I'm really fearful that I might type the wrong letter or the wrong number, which will make the color off by just a little bit. So thankfully, inside of Snagit, we also have this eyedropper tool that's called a color picker. Watch this. All I need to do is click on the color picker tool right here, this eyedropper, and then hover over the color I want to acquire. In this case, I'm going to grab this primary color of purple. And once I click on it, that color is now assigned to that theme. So if I want to grab this light purple as the next color in the theme, all I need to do is click the same dropdown, click the eyedropper, and grab it. In fact, we can do that with the white color even quicker because I'm in a rhythm. Now there's 2 other colors in this theme. There's a primary color set and a secondary color set. I'm going to grab the secondary colors too, because it takes just a second. I'm also going to add a brand new color here because it starts with 4 colors, but you can add up to 8. So we'll click on this one and we'll grab that last color right away. So I now have these 5 colors that are part of the theme for Storit. And as I was adding these colors, I get a little bit of a preview of what some of the tools might look like when those colors are added to it. Great. The colors are easy to do and it's done. The second thing I could do inside my theme is if we have a particular font that we use for everything, as long as the font is built into your machine or it's installed on your computer, you can add that font. So when you add callouts or any kind of text, the font is applied to that theme as well. So for this one, we're just going to pick the Arial Black. So now that whenever anything has text, it's going to have the Arial Black as the font. Now, this one's a little controversial, so get ready. Whenever we install or add a new callout to a image in Snagit, we have a shadow turned on by default, and you'll see the shadow is just underneath each one of these images. If you would prefer your theme to not have any shadow, all you need to do is click on this button here. It turns off all the shadows on the images. So if I click it on, You'll see that there's a little shadow here on all of these callouts. But when I turn the shadow off, they're very, what I would describe as flat imagery, available and ready for your use. And then all I need to do is click the Create button, and I now have my Store It theme available. It's in my drop-down menu underneath all my other ones that I might have, and I can apply it by just dragging and clicking on the different styles and add those colors of those callouts right into my image. And because it's a theme, whenever I switch tools, so if I come up here and I go to the callout tool, those themed colors will follow along. Now I can still make adjustments if I want to down here, maybe change out a different outline, a different shape, because maybe I have a call out that I want to use, but it doesn't matter. The colors will stay with me the whole time. So if I choose shape, I've got that. If I've got my fill tool available, those colors stay in. It even follows you to all the tools in the more dropdown. For example, a really popular tool we use a lot is the step tool. As long as that theme is selected, that step tool is good to go. It's pretty amazing. If I ever needed to go into that theme and make an adjustment, all I need to do is go back up to that theme drop-down menu here underneath the quick styles, use the drop-down arrow, and then choose the gear that's immediately to the right of that themed name. And when I click on that, I have 4 options. I have edit, which is going to be able to open that edit menu, and we'll do that here in just a second. I can duplicate it. So if I wanted to use that initial theme as perhaps a template so that I could maybe make subtle modifications to it for a second theme, I can export it, which is super awesome because you create a .snag theme file, which is this tiny little bit of information that could be emailed. So maybe you're the one on the team that has the easiest access to the colors. You simply could go in and create this theme and then email it to the rest of your team. And then all they have to do is double click on that Snag theme file, and it automatically installs that theme on their version of Snagit as long as their version supports themes. And of course, we could delete it. Pretty amazing. So let's click edit and go in here. There's every little thing you can do. You can remove colors. You can see all the previews within here, and you now have a theme that's ready. What's really helpful with the themes inside your quick styles is perhaps you're using your theme specifically, but you use a couple of specific tools on a regular basis. For example, maybe you want to use this purple arrow a lot. Well, all you have to do is select it and choose the little star in the upper right-hand corner. That adds it to this, your favorites menu at the top of your screen. So now when you click on your favorites menu, that purple arrow without its shadow is readily available for you to use on your projects as it comes up and as is needed. Pretty amazing. All right, so that's what I wanted to talk about primarily. There's a couple other things in these presets that I wanted to talk about, and that is inside your themes, if you make an adjustment. For example, we have all of these styles from that Store It theme without a shadow. If I take an arrow and I want to add a shadow to it, I can come down here while it's selected and choose the shadow option right here in the tool properties. And maybe I want to add an offset shadow. The moment I click on the shadow, it takes that arrow and recreates it down here in the corner. This is a customized quick style, meaning if I add this arrow right now, I have an arrow with a shadow on it. If I think I'm going to need that later on, I can click on the plus button in the lower right-hand corner of that quick style that we just created, and it is now added to my quick style. So not only do I have the non-shadowed version, but I have a shadowed version as well. And these can be moved around inside of your quick styles too, so that, well, you used to be able to. I'll have to ask Meredith, maybe mine's stuck. You have those different capabilities available within there. So I can make subtle modifications. Perhaps maybe I want this double-ended arrow, but I want it with a flat end as opposed to a double arrow. I can click on that, add that plus button, and I now have those abilities right within my quick styles to be able to use on different tools. Pretty sweet. Now, there's another quick little tool that I want to bring up, and that is maybe I don't have a style guide sitting in front of me, Maybe I don't have those hex codes and RGB codes available, but maybe I have, I don't know, our website available to us. So if I go to TechSmith.com, for example, and I pull up our new webinars page and I want to use some of these colors, all I need to do is open up Snagit so that it's by these images. I can go into maybe make a new theme and I'll call this website. Because I've got that color tool, that color picker tool, I can go outside of Snagit and maybe grab this yellow. Maybe I want Ryan's sweatshirt color here. I can grab that. Maybe I want the color of Jason's glasses, if I can get it on there real close. There we go. I can do those things as long as the color picker is available to me and I can see the image. Maybe I've got Snagit on one screen and the colors I want to acquire on the other. I can do all of that in one setting as well. All right, let's take a quick look and see if we've had any questions come in. I want to say thank you to Melissa and Meredith and Carson for answering your questions as well. So the first question is, can you reorder the color squares different from the order that you added them? Ooh, that's a great question. So if we were inside of the theme that we created, like here's that store at one, we'll go to edit. This person wants to know, can we reorder the squares? At this time, you cannot. They are not draggable and you cannot move them around. So you want to be intentional with how you add them so that you can put the right colors in the right order for your use cases. That's a great question. The next question is, will custom themes persist if I upgrade to another version of Snagit? Yep, they will. So if I were to take this version of Snagit and then install another brand new version when we release a full-blown new version, it will follow you as well. For my sake, I also export those. So if I wanted the Camtasia theme somewhere else as well, I typically will export it and I just keep it, somewhere on my computer. Like here, it creates this Camtasia.snag theme file. It's super tiny, but I could say put it on my desktop, and then I've got it available for me at a later date as well. One other thing I want to show you is if you don't have any color themes that you want to build right away, and the basic one that comes with Snagit is just not good enough, you want more options by default, you can go to library.techsmith.com and go to the TechSmith Assets for Snagit page. There is a selection. This is a paid service, but there is a selection of free starter themes that are available. As a matter of fact, I will put this link right in the chat for everybody so that you can go download some other ones. There's some other color themes here, like this Blue Punch, or coming up for Hipster Valentine. That's a name. Mustard Crush. All you need to do is click on the download arrow on any of those colors. Or if you have Snagit installed, you can click on the blue arrow and it'll send it right into Snagit. In fact, let's grab one. Let's grab that Hipster Valentine. If I click on that blue arrow, it will ask if it wants me to open it in Snagit, and I'll say, of course. It sends it over. And then when I go into my Snagit instance, Hipster Valentine is now available in my drop-down menu, and I have all of those quick styles available to me right inside of Snagit. So you can grab those as well. You can create your own. It's really pretty amazing what you can do with simple themes and then moving them to your favorites menu as you find them most helpful. All right. Let's see here. Let's see if there's other questions that have come up, because we're just like that. I told you these are pretty simple. These learn one new things are short and sweet sessions where I want to talk about one thing in specifically. In this case, it was the creation of themes. So let's see if there's any questions that have come up around this topic. And if not, we'll see if there's any other generic questions that have come up so far. Let's see here. So John asks, under the tool properties, you have a shadow table where quick styles have check marks or not. Does the check mark position have any meaning? That's a great question. So what John is referring to is when we are inside of a theme, there is the option for a shadow or no shadow. By default, when Snagit adds a shadow to a callout or an arrow or a shape, the shadow is here. It's on the bottom of this grid. What you can do is either toggle that on or off for the theme. However, if you want to make an additional arrow, so let's make one where we turn the shadow off, I can position that shadow wherever I would like. If I want it from the top corner, very top, you can position it where you want. When a shadow is on by default, it's only this location at the bottom. So hopefully that answers that question for you. Heather asks, I don't see our particular font, Proxima Nova, in the font list. So what you want to do is make sure you have that installed on your computer, because Snagit should see the fonts that are installed by default. If it's not there, you can always add the font to your system, close Snagit, and open it back up, and it should show up in that list. If not, you can definitely reach out to us and see if we can help you out, support.techsmith.com. Somebody's asking for a answer to Russell Courtney. So I guess I need to find Russell's question. Let me see if I can scroll up. I'll see if Russell asked it in the Q&A part or if it was in the chat. So if someone could maybe repost that for me. I did not personally see that question, but I'm happy to answer it if I can. Let's see here. Other questions that have come up. Yeah, so this is a great point. Tanya mentioned, just as a heads up, when I used the dropper to get the colors, the hex numbers were slightly off from my company's corporate colors, so I had to type them in. That's great news, because some companies, when they build their websites or they put them on documents, there is slight variation depending on your screen. So there might be a slight gradient, there might be slight shadowing on the images. If you have the hex color code or the RGB code available to you, that trumps everything. That's the top one you want to take. But in a pinch, you can grab your colors as well. But for most consistency and to be the most on brand, you want to make sure you have access to the actual RGB or hex codes, which most companies publish them publicly. And if they don't, your marketing department absolutely has access to those. Okay, the question, thank you, Carson. The question was, Russell asked, can I easily select all objects added to a capture and then switch them to a different theme? Gotcha. So like if we were to take a couple of arrows here on the screen, can I grab all of those at once and switch it to a different theme? Well, you can multi-select by holding down your control key on your keyboard and grab those. And then can I change the color right away? Let's see here. I don't think you can. Meredith, I'm going to default to you if you have that. I've never been asked that question before. Usually people are grabbing their colorway first and then applying it. But if you had like a particular series of images that you were grabbing and then wanting to apply a different color to, let's see here. There's one. I also have my mouse very, very large. I know I can do it one at a time, but I don't think I could do it all individually or all as a group. But I will check into that and we'll see if we can get that question answered as well. So thank you for that question. I appreciate it. We got a couple more minutes to show. Let's see. Can I add, Leo asks, can I add other symbols or emojis to the quick styles? So the quick styles are based on the tool themselves, right? So in the arrows, you have the arrow tools. In the text, you have the text tools. The call out, you have the call out tools. Those are quick styles are specific to those particular tools. If you want to add a collection of things, you would star, the things that you want. Like if I wanted these two, I can customize that in my favorites menu. If I wanted to add emojis or something like that, I can do that from the stamps tool. By the way, we are doing an entire Learn One New Thing on stamps coming up. I can add those by clicking those same stars in the tools and the quick styles themselves. And then I build out that custom group of tooling inside of your favorites menu. There you go. So Allie's saying you can use the select tool and hold shift to select different objects. I'm guessing that was correct as well. I have my mouse scaled up for the webinars, which makes it very difficult to multi-select. So that's something I'm going to consider for future webinars. All right, let's see. Question, how do I import a saved theme into Snagit? That's a great question. So we did talk about how you can export those themes out. And I believe I saved a Camtasia one to my desktop, Camtasia snag theme. So let's do this. I'm going to go in to my drop-down menu up here on the right. I'm going to use the gear icon on the right of the Camtasia one, and I'm going to delete it. Snagit's like, are you sure? Yep. I'm going to click delete. So now in my drop-down menu, I do not have a Camtasia one anymore. I do, however, have it on my desktop because I exported it. Here's how easy it is to import a theme. I can either go into the drop-down menu in the Quick Styles themes and choose import and locate it on my computer. Or if I know where it is, all I need to do is double click it and it gets installed right into Snagit just like that. So that's how easy it is to import a theme right back into Snagit. Or if you have it from our asset library online, it opens it up automatically as well. Cool. One last question we'll take. It's not specific to today's session, but people tend to get really excited about it. And that's this button down here, the Bezier Curve. The Bezier Curve is when you can apply an arrow to an image and you choose that curve and it makes that arrow manipulative, malleable is a better question. So I can grab different parts of it and I can curve it around different ways. I can make subtle adjustments to how it looks on the image. So if I wanted it to go around something, I can do that as well. And what's neat is as soon as you add a Bezier curve to an arrow, you can, as you see, add that to your quick styles in case you want to use that particular style again. So I can draw another arrow in here and it's already curved out. So I can grab it and grab sections of it and I can make subtle adjustments depending on what I want to do with it. Pretty neat tool. Pretty helpful if you're drawing around things on your screen so you don't want to obscure any part of your image. Available. Absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're at the time where we have for today's session. We want to keep these short and sweet, under 30 minutes. So let's go right back to our presentation for my last slide, which is me saying thank you. We really appreciate you being here. Of course, you're going to get a recording of the webinar. You're going to have access to that recording for as long as you need it. There is a survey that pops up right after this webinar closes or as soon as you leave it. One minute, 4 questions. It lets us know, hey, how'd we do? Did this meet your expectations? I'd like to know, did this little highlighting tool that I was using inside of Snagit or on the screen, did that help you guide your eyes to where you needed to be for the presentation? So I also want to pass along my thanks to Carson and Melissa and Meredith for being a part of today's session. Thank you, everybody. If you go to techsmith.com/webinars, there is a whole series of Learn One New Things on our brand new website. Matter of fact, you can filter the results by clicking on Learn One New Thing. And there are our next 6. So I'm going to be doing one on the Simplify tool, the Stamp tool, video from images from templates, all the things under the Create button. Effects that no one seems to mess with anymore, but I think they're pretty awesome. And then we're going to talk about Screen Draw inside of Snagit as well. Thank you so much for being a part of today's session. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the balance of your Monday. Have a great day.